hurt. Man, that's the Jalen Hurts injury, man. That deep is deep.
My name is Abina Johnson, and this is Focus on Liberia. Hit it! From Cape Mount to Cape Palmer, Mount Nimba to Atlantic Ocean, Obomi Hills to Bokonjre, to educate, elevate, and promote. Talk about home affairs, in diaspora, current affairs, reliable information, history, talking about culture, politics, education, entertainment, business, sports, advertisement, articulation. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. Focus on Liberia. From Monday to Sunday.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another edition of On Point. Today is going to be a great day. As usual, Liberia is the country that has so much news to give. We say it's like a Santa. It has so much gift. Gift upon gift upon gift until we ourselves get obnoxious about which gift to take. So much gift, and I wish one of those gifts would have been good gifts. But for a teaser, the Afrobarometer report out of Liberia says 75% of Liberians are willing and dying to migrate somewhere else other than Liberia. 75% of Liberians. 75% of Liberians, if an opportunity were given to them to migrate to another country, they would today. That says a lot about who we are and where we are. But ladies and gentlemen, do us a favor, share this show. We had a little technical difficulties and we came a little late. But as usual, your brilliant minds are here to discuss, dissect political issues in Liberia. And with me is my co-host, Jimmy Eastman. How you doing there, Chief?
Hey, glad to be here. I just saw Washington edge the Eagles in the last few seconds of the game. So it's a good day in Washington, D.C.
Well, this man always said he was not a Washington, D.C. man. He was a New York Giants fan.
I am.
But today, because they won one game, now he's supporting the Washington.
No, I am still New York.
I know who you are. I'm going to pass Dr. Booty and I'm going to go to the man who you are indirectly trying to attack. Mr. Namwe, how is Philadelphia doing? How's
You know, Jimmy Eastman, I am never talking to this guy again ever for the rest of this year. I am here agonizing over my Eagles loss, and he's going to tell me about, But anyway, look, it's a great Sunday. It's good to be here.
Thank you, Dr. Booty. Welcome. We appreciate you. All the way from London every Sunday when you get a chance, you are here. Religiously discussing the issues, unbiasedly with your own opinion. How you doing there, sir?
I'm doing very well. I don't understand what you guys are talking about with your handball or football, whatever. But yeah, it's always great to be here. It's good to see Mr. Nangwe as always, and Mr. Eastman as well. So I'm looking forward to a good show.
Great. Ladies and gentlemen, as usual, we are back to the saga at the House of Representatives. There's a suspicion of fire. Everybody knows about the fire, how the fire happened, when did it happen, who is responsible, how do we address this issue? How is it possible that on Tuesday, all the papers in the country and the international wires are carrying Bloody Tuesday? And all of a sudden, Blaze at the Capitol replaces the blood and guts on the front pages of the paper. The security apparatus of Liberia going after people that they said something months ago, and they surrounded them with the police, heavily armed police officer. So here we are. We also going to be talking about the Supreme Court. How could the Supreme Court of the Republic of Liberia adjoin with our nation, with a national security issue, a bill of information on the desk of the Supreme Court? Not only that, but the Supreme Court did have section and made a couple of major rulings, including the suspension of my friend Dr. Brooklyn for unethical practice of his profession. We have all of these things. We also have the ruling from the Supreme Court about Yeke Koluba being paid. The government owes him, dating back to the previous administration. Now he has to be paid. Liberia is qualified to submit. We are not qualified. We did not win the MCC, as people are believing to say. We are qualified to present, to begin to write the paper, the foundation for why we should get the foundation money. And we will discuss that. That's the MCC grant. How did this happen? And what could it mean for Liberia? And number three, the most famous quote in the Republic of Liberia is, "No corn will be stuck in 100 days when I take office in Liberia. There will be no car stuck in the mud. Waka flies to Lofa on the private jet while medical workers are on strike, threatening the lives of concerned citizens. $22 million that was spent on the road. How come Joseph Walker did not ride on the road where he spent $22 million? He flying a private jet." Ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have about 15 minutes of our time at the end of the show for you to call in. You can call 772-940-2871, and you don't have to go through the process. You can call the direct line. If you call the 911 number, I'll pull you right through. And if you have Mr. Jimmy Eastman's number, you want to call him directly, you can call him. If you want to call Mr. Nambe directly, you have his private number. He will put you on through his phone like I always do. And likewise, Dr. Moody. Let's start here. Mr. Nambe, here we are. Talk to us about what's happening at the Liberian legislature and why is it linking on, and what does it do for us as a country, as a people, as a nation?
Yeah, I mean, what is happening at the Capitol is detestable. We woke up here, I think it was Tuesday morning or so, either Tuesday or Wednesday, but the day prior, protesters were in the streets protesting the removal of the speaker and urging the legislature to behave constitutionally. The protesters were protesting over the illegal attempted removal of the speaker. That didn't go very well. We saw people, bleeding, tear gassed. The president was in the midst of all of that. He chose that very day, that particular moment, to go to the Capitol building and sign a book of condolence. Many people thought that was a height of insensitivity. And then the following morning, we woke up on the side and splashed all over, social media with the images of the historic Capitol building. That building was built in the 50s, one of the best buildings in town. That building has been touched. I'm sure important documents have also been touched. And this is, democracy is a competition of ideas. Violence doesn't really have a place in democracy. You bring your idea to the marketplace. If the people like your ideas better than my idea, you get elected. So I think we should do the best we can to disagree, but to remove violence from the political space. Um, there are a lot of questions about why it happened, how it happened. We all know the Capitol has been heavily guarded. So there are questions as to how people were able to gain access and do what they did. But the investigation, I believe, is ongoing. And as it has been with this government, whenever an investigation has been opened, that we never hear again, how it concludes. So bottom line is our Capitol building has been touched. I think 2 days later there was already a proposal, an estimate. I don't know how that happened so quickly. $1.8 million to rebuilding. I mean, they didn't know that this is going to happen. Did they anticipate it? Another question to be answered. Many people are suggesting that, in fact, the money to rebuild that should come from the salary because it is the stupidity that led us where we are. And they need to own up to it. I think they should be held accountable for reconstructing this building. So I'll leave it there for now.
Great. Dr. Booty, your take.
Well, I think, look, Mr. Nangwe said most of what I would want to say, on the matter at hand. I think at the end of the day, we have addressed a lot of the issues surrounding what is happening at the Capitol building for weeks. All right. We have all put forth different ideas in terms of how we believe that the impasse, if you can refer to it, should be sorted out. Right now, the Supreme Court got involved, and now obviously there were people. Because the thing is, when it comes to the fire issue, because that's the one of the things Mr. Nangwe talked to. Apparently, a few weeks ago, there was smoke in the building. Right?
Who are your thoughts?
There you go.
There is.
That's the electrical panel, right?
Yes, this is the electrical panel. A couple of days before the major fire. This is the electrical fire that got. So I just want our audience to see what you are talking about.
Yeah. So basically, yeah. That is the point. Because I was having a conversation with someone, and the person was pointing the fingers at arson, right? Or somebody went and touched the place and that. And at the time, this whole story about gasoline can being found in the building hadn't come out yet. And I pointed to the fact that, look, this thing, there was an electrical issue there recently that led to a little bit of fire. There was smoke and stuff like that. So it's likely that this could be the source of the issue. I think Mr. Nangbe talked about the fact that you've got a lot of security officers there. We know that. Right? It's very, very suspicious that any human being, especially if people want to blame the protesters, right, would walk through all these security officers with gasoline in their hand, take it up to wherever the fire was started, and start a fire without anyone noticing. It's just something that is far-fetched. I don't think we have the capacity as a country to investigate, first and foremost. So whatever investigation they're saying that they're carrying out there, yeah, I'm not even sure that they have the capacity to investigate, let alone release any findings that we can trust to say, okay, look, yeah, this is something that people can work with. Look, my concern, and I think a few people have mentioned this already, is how was the Senate able to come up with 1.8 million within a few days to go towards the renovation of this part of the building that has been burned? Did they know that this was happening? What part of the Senate budget have they cut? Because those are the things that the public need to know. Because if we've approved the budget for the Senate to use it for development, for example, and now they're taking development money to come and fix Capitol building, that's a misappropriation of funds. So we need to know as a general public where they're getting that 1.8 million dollars from to now go and renovate this aspect. And someone posted, I'm not sure whether it was you, Gavin, but someone posted, or whether it was Michael Patton the other day. It made me laugh, right? He said, the little fire that I can't point at, they come in make budget for renovation for the next 6 or 7 years. They will just be chopping for the renovation. Will never finish. For these files say they will be renovating. And I laugh, but it's the fact, right? It is the fact. That's what is going to happen next. They're going to come up with some extravagant budget, right? They had Ellen Johnson today with the executive mansion. For 7 years, we were pumping, I think, $6 million a year into renovating the mansion. Every day you pass at the mansion, still looking the same. But what kind of mansion we're putting $6 million every year? Still looking the same. We can't even see paint on the mansion. $6 million, no paint. So I wouldn't be surprised that this will drag on for 6-7 years, and then the Chinese or someone will come in and do it again for free. So we finish spending $20 million to fix it over 5 years, then get fixed, and then somebody will come fix it. So look, it is the situation that we're in. I'm not surprised that it's happening. I think this president, like I've said for weeks and months, is spineless. This president doesn't have a clue. And I think the legislature is taking cues from the president. They're watching what is happening in the executive, and they're taking that on board. And that's how they're acting as well. And it's unfortunate for us.
Guys, hold on 1 minute. Somebody, guy, let us all mute while he speaks, so we don't have that ground in the back. Please mute while he speaks. Go ahead, Doc.
Oh no, I landed already. I landed already.
Okay. Mr. Anthony Gay, you just got here. Right in time. We are at the fire at the legislature. We put up this is what just happened a couple of days before the actual. That is the breaker that burst into flame. And what is disturbing here? Usually in a civilized country, the president of the nation will address the nation and say, remain calm. We are in control. We are going to investigate thoroughly. And where we lack capacity, we will ask our international partners. We will get to the bottom of it, find out what caused the fire. Instead, our president said the hooligans did this. And basically, we're going to track them down wherever they are, we're going to get them. In fact, I'm going to build this country no matter what they do. So, in a regular and legal mind, rational people, we are saying the president has already been the judge. He found somebody guilty now, so all the police have to go and find the evidence to suit what the president said. Your take.
Absolutely, Mr. Gamer. First and foremost, good evening to all the panelists. Good evening to our followers and listeners. Look, what happened to Liberia? It is very grave. And I said on other platforms, and I want to say here today, I condemn the act of the fire. I do not condone that. I'm a big supporter.
How many platforms you go to per day? I mean, you're really busy. What's going on?
Yeah,
Mr. Gay, how are you going to condemn something that you don't know the deprivation?
No, first of all,
if it's an electrical fire, you're going to condemn the electrical.
First of all, let me say this. Whether the electrical, then somebody I fought for the electrical thing to happen. Electric wire not just get on fire like that. Something must happen. I'm speaking from my background, and Mr. Eastman can back me up on that. You don't have 40 systems just by that. Somebody might have made a mistake, or out of the system is not grounded properly, or something. You don't just have, fault in electrical wiring or telecommunication wiring just like that, unless some physical force go there and breaks into something. For fault to happen, it's not just ordinary. It has to be man-made first or nature, right? It can just happen on its own. So if I say I condemn the act, I'm also presuming in my head if somebody may have done so, right? In anger or whatnot.
Mr. Gay, I had to push back. Listen,
Listen, I'm not in court
listen,
here.
I'm
This is
coming
my
to this.
opinion, Mr.
Listen,
Goodman.
I know your opinion, but listen, you are on.
Yeah, but this is my opinion. Allow me to.
Yeah, but you are on the intellectual platform here. Listen, I'll never give you an example now.
But you
One
can't.
minute.
You can't speak for me, Mr. Goodman. You gotta allow me to speak.
There was a fire in California, right? That started and they burned the whole.
We're gonna have the conversation I did though.
I understand. There was a forest fire in California that happened, and it burned a lot of homes. And it turned out that it was lightning or something happened, and it happened. So will you condemn the fire in California that was started by nature?
Again, we are talking about two different things here, right? The fire that happened in California did not happen to government building.
It burned 2,000 buildings.
It burned a private citizen building. It was a wildfire, but it started by nature, right? But before that, some people were also saying what I just said, that if it's done by a person, we condemn this act and blah, blah, blah. Until the founding came out, you and I don't know what happened. Let's just be frank here. You and I don't know.
So, but that's the key word there, though, if, right?
Right? So, yes, what I'm saying here. If this is done by a person,
thank you.
I want to condemn that act.
Thank you.
If it is done by a person, I want to condemn the act. But what I also was, disappointed on was the immediate statement by the president. Terminate as an arson. I mean, we don't know the cause of fire. Two things here I want to stress on is that, number one, when this incident happened with the breakup.
Hold on a minute. Jimmy Eastman, I think that the noise is coming from you.
Yeah, I think he's playing something.
Can you mute? Thank you. Go ahead.
So when
I'm a better investigator. I got the crown guy right there.
So when the first thing happened, we were not giving a feedback as to what happened and what was the fault of that fire. We saw the smoke. Thank God it was not the fire the first time, but it was very smoky, and it came to put it off. But they never told us what happened. Second thing, the police ID on tape said that the building was under their control. The building was secure. Once an officer made such a statement or a police ID made such a statement, that means every room, every corridor, every closet was checked. Everything was clear. That's a standard procedure. He said the police the building was under custody. They have full control of the building and the building is safe. The next morning, we saw the fire. Now, what happened? This building is in the custody of the police, under the jurisdiction of the Liberian National Police, and this happened. So we don't know what transpired. Was it done by a person? Did the police, let that guard down? What happened? We don't know. So for the president to come out and say it was done by hooligans, it was arson and other different things, I just think that he misspoke and he needed to take back that statement. It was premature. The other, stopping people at Scalasco and all of that stuff, I don't think it was necessary. They brought in Safoko, which is a person of interest. I don't have nothing against that because he made a statement that the thing, could have caused the problem. He gave his statement. He was set free. But the fact that they arrested Scalasco at the same time, I don't know why they did that, but thank God they free him. So all I can say is that this administration have been trending on the wrong path, and this president have yet to get it right. The only thing that have been good for this administration the whole year is this MCC eligibility for grant. Other than that, this whole government flunked for the whole year. They did not do their job. The president is not speaking to the nation. The president is not, reassuring the nation that he's in charge. The president is not doing what a commander-in-chief or the father of a nation should do. I have not seen it in this president. We have heard good things about Joseph Yumabwaga, His Excellency, that he is a man of wisdom. I have yet to see that wisdom on display.
Thank you.
And I want to close by that.
Mr. Namwe, we have here a situation where the president, the lead person, the father of the land, has I guess, adjudicated the case before he even went to trial by saying these are hooligans. So in America here, when we say hooligans, it is referred to people who live in the hoods, in certain neighborhoods. If something happens and you don't have answer, you go to the hood and you just round up people and say, these guys, most likely they have been committing crime before. Most likely, we got to check them out. And so they get around people or illegally. Now here we are, the president is using that word. And the folks from the CDC and all the opposition are saying, this is what these people used to refer to anybody who were in opposition, especially the CDC, as low lives, hooligans, grown-up boys, and all of that. And right after that, you saw what happened. Safoco, the representative house, was surrounded by armed men, 6 trucks, for somebody of interest that they have given invitation to come. This doesn't look good for our democracy, for our rule of law.
No, it doesn't. You and Mr. Gay indicated, I believe Dr. Budi might have also alluded to it. This is an incident that is under investigation, right? And I said in one of our chat rooms, I even said that here on one of the shows that, any attempt in these early stages of the investigation to begin finger pointing, I think it's reckless. I got a lot of calls, reckless, is not the right word, but I can't find any other way to describe it. The incident is under investigation. You just showed the power panel, right? We just shot a couple of days earlier. We switched from 110 to 220 after the war. All of our buildings, our system has not been rewired. And 220, Jimmy will bear me out. 220 delivers a much powerful force than 110. So all of these,
that's a heavy load.
Yes. So all of these short circuiting or whatever that is, it will happen. Let's forget the Capitol building for a moment. Earlier in the year, there were almost an average of a fire every other day. People's houses getting burned. Was that done by hooligans? I don't know. So I think the president really, his early intervention left a lot of us questioning. How do you conclude that this was done by a person or people? Why don't you leave it to the investigators? Let them come out with a finding. But having said that, let me quickly speak to Safoco, the Marvin Gaye, or the Distant Sibo. They don't belong in a house. These are hooligans. Safoco has absolutely no right to talk the nonsense that he spoke, whether it happened 2 years ago. He is an honorable man. That was a very, very dishonorable thing to say by a lawmaker, no matter where and when. You cannot call for burning down of anything because you have a disagreement. You should intellectually disagree. And that goes for Marvin Cole and the so-called minority bloc, all the violence. I saw in the first days of this Marvin Cole, or whatever his name is, going all over the place, kicking doors down, and that is uncalled for. That is uncalled for. I think we need to also denounce it. If you are a lawmaker, you are a role model, you should project You understand me? Honorability. That's what they're doing is dishonorable. I don't know how these people find themselves in the honorable house to
But, but,
represent the people.
Mr. Namwe, let me give a few examples of why we allow lawlessness. You remember a few years ago, we were celebrating Ellen Johnson Sally when she said, "Burn down the mansion, burn down Monroe. I will build it in a few days and a few
Right.
months," and people were cheering. And then recently, some guy named Mark Jabatev threatened to kill Yeke Koluba for insulting the president. Nobody
Correct.
said anything. Yeke Koluba, in return, threatened to kill Kofa, and Kofa resigned under these circumstances. And in the presence, a lawmaker, someone promised to kill, threatened to kill a lawmaker, and the police does nothing. Another lawmaker threatened to kill another lawmaker, the police
Right.
does nothing. But then when a comment made 6 months, 7 months ago, when you go, then people think now you're being selective in your threat assessment.
No, I agree with you. I think all of the utterances from all the parties you mentioned are condemnable. I think they were wrong from Ellen Johnson down. But I also agree with you. I think the response of this current government to Safoko, I think was heavy-handed. They did not order his arrest. He was a person of interest. I would think that I believe they said they were inviting him in for questioning. So yes, but this is all the failures we talk about at all levels. All of these previous utterances, I don't believe they were ever investigated. No amount of seriousness. I remember Mike Jabate is still in the government. You know, I listened to the call that was recorded when he threatened to kill Yege Koluba, Amy Ellen Johnson. But this is wrong. And if it was wrong then, it is wrong today. And I think we should all condemn it. I think they have to behave themselves. That's what I said earlier, that we are in where we're in this situation because of the stupidity we have representing us in government. A bunch of useless nonsense people who have absolutely no right being in government. And these are the actors we have on stage who are leading this country. No wonder why we're going where we are. You know. Now, before I end, let me say something here real quickly. Last Sunday, I said that I believe the speaker had reached his end, and I'll be quick about it. But let me tell you what uh, I meant by that, and my legal friends have also helped me figure it out. Um, the issue at hand here is not a legal issue. They tell me they use the word non-justiciable. It cannot be adjudicated. It is a political issue, right? Um, the Supreme Court has indicated that um, the House of Representatives, the Speaker has a right to compel absent members to come into session, but they did not. The law is silent on how. So even though Kofa has a right, but there is no means for him to enforce his right. That's a strike against him. Two, um, ever since this thing happened, again, remember I said this is a political matter. The speaker's character and his attitude has not convinced anybody to join him. This is a political game. If anything, he has lost people who have gone over to the other side. He doesn't have the majority. Three, this speaker was deputy speaker for X number of years. He has been speaker for several months. This is a problem that he's aware of, from the title removal to the snow removal and all of this. He did absolutely nothing about it. This is the own game they're beating him at. Now, if I say that I believe he has made his point, what I meant was he has challenged the process. He has planted his marker. Uh, every actor, every contestant knows when to quit when you are ahead. I think we are now approaching that stage where he's losing momentum. I saw him appear with the president at the Capitol building. Richard Kuhn was sitting on stage with the president and the vice president and the president pro tem. Where was Kofa? He was in the audience as an ordinary person. To me, that was diminishing to him. I understand he has been locked out of his office. He cannot enter his office. Again, that diminishes him. I understand he was requested by Kuhn to submit the payroll or the name of his people who work with him. Obviously, he's not going to do that because it is a recognition of Kuhn. But because of that, about 60 of people may not get paid for the Christmas. He's on the losing end of this. And in order for him to win, he needs an assist politically from the executive. The executive has shown no inclination to do so. So I said to you, I believe he should quit while he's still ahead. Because in any political fight, a loss, if you are defeated, that is a loss, and is a net loss for you. So again, I will land on this. I call on the speaker why he still has some degree of momentum on his side. I think he should bow so that he'll be able to fight for another day. I'll leave it there.
Thank you.
If I may 30 seconds.
I need to have a minute or
Listen.
two.
Before
No,
I
let me
go,
have a minute or two, please. I beg you, because Mr. Nangbe named me personally in the
I'm coming. I'm coming to you, Dr. Booty. I just want to let. I just want to give you.
And Dr. Booty, I'm drinking my water again that I paid for. That you told me I didn't even deserve.
We will have to talk to your wife to remove your water.
I'm talking about Benjamin Franklin when he talked about it, the tyranny of the majority. Go ahead, Dr. Booty.
Okay, so I would disagree, Mr. Nangwe, with your lawyer friends to an extent, right? When they say it's not a legal matter, now one would understand that something that is enshrined in the Constitution. The Constitution of Liberia is a law, right? So if the Constitution can only be interpreted by the judiciary, which is the arbiter of laws in Liberia, then it is a legal matter, right? It is a legal matter. So for a lawyer to tell me that it's not a legal matter, then that lawyer that they did arrest me, I will not call him to represent me. No, let me. I didn't interrupt you, Mr. Nangwe. I didn't interrupt you. Okay. There is some political aspect to it, right? There is some political aspect to it, and we can accept that. Look, yes, because the legislature is a political branch of the government, right? It is a political aspect just because of the their nomenclature of who they are, right? But in terms of the issue at hand, it's a completely legal matter. The matter here is very simple. This man can be removed, or woman, if it was a woman. They can be removed. There's a way you can remove them that is enshrined in our Constitution.
Absolutely.
If you don't follow that way, anyone, including whoever, is, according to Mr. Gaiman, ultra-virus, right? That's ultra-virus. Yeah, according to Mr. Gaiman. I'm quoting Mr. Gaiman here now. According to Mr. Gaiman, ultra-virus. So at the end of the day, it is a legal matter. Now, you keep shifting this thing away from the point, Mr. Nangwe, and I want you to please bring it back because I respect you a lot. I really, really respect you. Bring it back to the point. The point at hand is not Fonati Kofa. That's not the point. The point at hand is not Fonati Kofa. That's not the point. I'll say it the third time. The point at hand is not Fonati Kofa. It is the legal process, the law, the constitution that everyone who's taken an oath of office should protect, right? That's what they said they will do. I will protect faithfully the constitution of the woman, whatever, right? Yeah. That is the issue here, not Kofa. It could be John Brown. It could be Peter Paul. It could be Mary Johnson. At the end of the day, the issue is the constitution is being violated, not the speaker. I don't know Kofa from nowhere. I don't care about Kofa. They can kick him out tomorrow. They might like a horse that you're living in, and I get time. But the constitution is being violated by the people that are supposed to be protecting it, defending it, and that is the issue. So he shouldn't resign. Let him like it, or he must stay there until they break it down. Because at the end of the day, we have to protect it. If you can't fight for the constitution, then there's no Liberia.
So I agree with you. I know Mr. Gay and let me say this quickly. Quickly, let me ask you this. The speaker filed a bill, and I agree with you, everything you said. I also maintain
this
that this process.
This is for the Kofa's page.
Yep.
Yes. Ultra-virus. Yes. So I agree with you, Dr. Booty. The attempt by the 42 is illegal. There's no doubt about it. But where is the enforceability? The Supreme Court has before it the Bill of Information, but where is the Supreme Court? They all go on vacation. Now, I am. Let me quickly.
The law didn't go. The law does not go on vacation.
This is what I'm telling you. This is the political process that is weighing him down. They're doing all of the little technicalities to weigh him down. They're not coming back until March. In the meantime, the budget and all of that has been passed. So now
The president ain't the lawyer.
this bill of information, according to what I understand, cannot be heard by a justice in chambers. It must be heard en banc. That's what they say. All of the justices in chambers. So it has to go before the full bench. The full bench is not coming back until March. So now
come back 6 months later.
Exactly. So at the end of all of this, Dr. Booty, where is Mr. Kofa going to be? Nowhere.
I'm glad
But
you
that's
asked that
not
question.
the thing,
Because-
Mr.
So I
Nambi.
don't disagree with you that the
wrong.
process is illegal.
Okay.
I mean, you and I are on the same side on this, but I'm
Okay,
saying to
Jimmy.
you, in order for Kofa to maintain his dignity, his
He
momentum,
doesn't need to
Mr. Kim, I
maintain
think- I
his
think-
dignity. He's a rebel
he's a
right now.
politician. He's a politician.
He's a
He
rebel
Mr. Nambi.
fighting for the truth.
He should bow out so he can fight another
Mr.
day.
Namwe,
That's what I'm saying.
No.
Mr.
I'll leave
Namwe,
it
Mr.
This
Namwe,
is a hill that he must die on.
he will lose his dignity if he disappoint the Constitution. Jimmy, here we are. This young man is saying what is right is right. All the others, there were no speaker that were removed. They all resigned. They all resigned. Even though they resigned under duress, but they did resign. This young man is saying, I stand by the law, even if it means that like the legislator, right? According to them, you don't need the physical building. You can convene anywhere. Kofa could be in his bedroom, can work from home.
He doesn't have the
is
majority, Jerome. He doesn't have the
Excuse me?
majority.
But guess what? The Constitution called for 49. The other folks got 44. They themselves have not reached their own
No, but I'm
threshold.
saying to you, Kofa doesn't have the 37 to conduct
Yeah, but
any
you don't
business.
have the 49 either, Mr.
I
Jimmy.
know the removal is one question. The conduct of business is another question.
Listen, for it to be legal, it has to be done properly, like we
I
said.
agree with you.
Mr. Jimmy Eastman, this budget has to be, it is a budget that will be dealt with by the United States, the ECOWAS, the EU, and these people, they recognize only one speaker in Liberia, and that's Fonanti Kofa. Yep. And this is going to come down, this thing going to come down to the MCC. The MCC requires that the document, the legal document, be signed between nations, country to country. The United States recognizes Fonanti Kofa. When that MCC contract comes to pass, do you think Joseph Wega have the spine to take a replacement to say this man going to sign on our behalf? Talk to us about the implication here.
Yeah, we are really faced with a crisis. The past speakers that eventually resigned were given the pre circumstances were different. They were allowed to recuse themselves from their hearing so that they could present their grievances and discuss it. But this was done differently. And it's created a crisis now. What I really don't like about their procedure is, first of all, this new speaker was defeated, democratically defeated. And a few months later, he leads a rebel group, a renegade group, to not sit under the gavel of the person that defeated him. I think that's very undemocratic. And then instead of their going through the process, the proper process of removing him by, submitting their claims to plenary, and he recused himself, they took the option that they were not even going to sit under his gavel. In other words, it's a complete coup. It didn't go through the regular processes as those other ones did. And that's not right. That is not going to sustain our democracy. It actually is an affront. So what I'm understanding in negotiation is that they want that Fonati will resign, and then they will have a new election for speaker. That is what the minority bloc, whatever you want to call them, is saying. And I think that's fair because this is almost dictatorial to simply impose a speaker on people that lost, and then you simply impose on him with a white ballot. That is dictatorial. I think we if we don't honor the process, it will lead to other things down the road. And that is why everybody has to be very careful here because the tenets of democracy are being challenged. And we shouldn't let no one person do that. We've seen this happen before when Tubman had himself as president for life. That was unconstitutional. But he didn't allow any opposition. And he muscled his way there. That wasn't good for our democracy. And this is also is not going to be good for our democracy. It's a fairly new democracy, and we already see cracks at the seams. Already, it's being challenged. And so this is not really about Fanati. Fanati will go. But why can't these guys do something correctly? You know, and that's what everybody's saying. Just do it correctly, and then it will be okay. But as from what I'm seeing, they do not want to, and this will have an ill effect in the long run.
Mr. Gamer, can I have my time now?
Yes, Mr. Gay.
So I think what many lawyers who are taking the side of the majority black try to do to the audience, and those of us who are not lawyers, is to use something that is not the crux of the case as a way to make their point. What do I mean by that? When the court spoke about there is no specificity as to how to proceed for the minority to cause the other group to come on, that they cannot do what the legislator cannot do for themselves, is that part they run away. The main reason Fanati went to the Supreme Court was the action and the decision that was taken was unconstitutional or were unconstitutional. That's why he went to the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court concurred to say any sitting or action that is not in conformity of Article 49 and 33 deemed ultra vires. That is the crux of this case. The Supreme Court can choose on what to deliberate on when you make your claim or you make your petition. And out of the 4 petitions, they chose the way they chose, and the way in which they ruled clearly is in favor of Fanati and the rule of law. Article 49 clearly states having to elect your speaker, and that speaker is the presiding officer. There is this thing of quorum, and today I think that the Buri will help me here and other legal mind, that the word quorum does not establish if you don't have a presiding officer. Anybody can form a group. Any group of people that are 37 or more can come together. Once this presiding officer is there, it is quorum and it becomes plenary. If that is not the case, then any group of people can go somewhere and form a group and just have a meeting once they have 37 or more. That's a quorum. Whether the deputy speaker is there or deputy speaker is there, that's not the case. Now the deputy speaker has no function as long as the speaker is present. The deputy speaker has absolutely no function as long as the speaker is present. The deputy speaker only becomes functional when the speaker is absent. And then when both the speaker and the deputy speaker are absent, then a speaker pro tem is then elected. In the absence, the qualifier there is the absence. So people read the Constitution, and every article in the Constitution is as valued as the other article. So if you read one, you can leave it and say, oh, the other one is not important. This is the reason why they chose to say, oh, but the Supreme Court said they can go and do their own thing. Well, it's because there is no specificity as to how the minority can cause the majority to come back to work. They don't have that prescription. That doesn't mean that the Supreme Court did not rule, but they are only using it now. Another thing again that was said was Executive Mansion Law, chapter 22 point something something. Does the Executive Mansion Law supersede the Constitution of Liberia? Does the Executive Mansion Law supersede the Supreme Court? Does the Executive Mansion Law, abort the ruling of the Supreme Court? Another thing, does the opinion of a justice minister supersede the Liberian Constitution or the ruling of the Supreme Court? Any rational person will know that the Supreme Court ruling is above any opinion of an individual.
Final.
That's why they are the final arbiter. Again, why would they say this is not legal matter, is political? Anything that is done in politics without the rule of law, it will use few things: chaos, lawlessness. The list goes on.
Thank you. Real quick, Dr. Booty, this topic is not on, but I want us to look at it 1 minute each. Jimmy Eastman, if you can put something in our chat room, I'll send it to you privately. It says 524 African Americans and Caribbeans of the African diaspora just got citizenship in Ghana. I want to also look at it. Jimmy, do you see it? Okay. Now, while Jimmy is looking for it, this is what it looks like.
Yeah, I saw that earlier.
Okay. Do you see why people are gravitating towards other people other than us who are the originator of the African American diaspora in Africa? Do we care that our behavior, our self-governance, our style, our self-hate or self-love create people to come around you? Should we ask ourselves, like one of my teachers used to say, if you find most of your friends or the girls are staying away from you, the first thing you need to do is check your deodorant to see whether you got bad odor or bad breath and all of those things. Okay. This is just recently in Ghana. If you play, I don't know if you can give it some volume here. This is 524 Black people. These are well-educated people with resources, economic power. They are leaving the Caribbean and North and South America, Central America, wherever they are. And their place of choice is Ghana. They are buying homes, they are investing, they are pumping money into the economy. Yeah, Mr. Eastman, that's fine. You can take it off let's start with you here, Dr. Booty. Here we are. We are talking about the rule of law or the lack of it. And here we are, our next door neighbors. We, African Americans, we, Liberia, founded by African Americans, the diaspora people. When you look at the composition of the Liberian society, the same people you hear in the Caribbean, Barbados, Jamaica, all of those places, they are going somewhere else. Dr. Booty, what is happening here with us?
Well, I think, first of all, we need to consider the fact that we had a civil war for 14 years, right? So that
Okay,
that cannot be.
blame it on the wall. Go ahead. Go
No, no,
ahead.
no. Let me. You gave me my 2 minutes now. Let me say what I want to say. I just want to point out something that we need to consider. That obviously put Liberia in a very bad place in the minds of a lot of people. Watching some of the horrific things that happened in Liberia during the 14 years of civil war. I think when people are looking for places to go
Somebody
to,
confirming that two other friends in that group.
uh, Mr. Gay, can you mute yourself? You interrupted me.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So basically there's that. Now it's not an excuse. That's just pointing out something. We've had enough time since 2003 to have made a lot of progress, right? And nobody, and I can't remember who it was. I think we were having a pre-show chat, and we were talking about the rule of law. The countries that we live in. So you guys in the United States, I'm here in the United Kingdom. One of the things that we know is that if something goes wrong, or if there's an incident or a situation, civil matter or so between Mr. Nangwe and I can go to the court and more likely than not be confident that the court will rule on the matter in a manner that is fair, right? Unfortunately, that is not the case in Liberia. So I don't see how anyone would want to go to Liberia knowing fully well that if something goes wrong and you don't have money to bribe the relevant individuals, then if it goes to court, you're going to lose, right? So you imagine you get all this money, like most people who live in the United States and parts of the Caribbean have worked hard, have scraped, have saved, and invested in their, you guys call it 401k or whatever one they call it, and you take your money, go and buy a nice property in Liberia, build a nice home, start a business, only for some big shot or some lawmaker or whatever to come and take your land, and then you stop. You go to court, you lose all your money spent. So look, Liberia does not present a enticing option for people, right? I was in Ghana April last year, and the place is, you. I remember I went with my a friend of mine, and we drove around the airport area, and some of the houses there were going for 1.2, 1.5. When he said 1.2, I said, oh, 1.2. He said US dollar. I said, hey, you have houses selling in Ghana for millions of United States dollars, all right? And we're talking about state of the art home. I've got a friend from Maryland who's from Cameroon, just bought a house in Ghana, him and his wife, because they're from the English speaking side of Cameroon, and things are not too settled there. So they're choosing Ghana because it's peaceful, because there is some semblance of legal capacity for adjudication. And just a quick one before I land. They had an election recently, and last Thursday, because I have a lot of friends from Ghana here in the UK, and we're having a chat. And these guys were telling me how the outgoing president was basically not wanting his vice president to concede. And the vice president was like, no, I lost the election. Why should I not concede? And the president tried to intervene by getting, like the police and the army to get involved. And like, oh, no, that's not our job. We're not going to jeopardize the peace of the country because you don't want to go out. Now, I don't believe that if it was the situation in Liberia, and that's why a lot of us commend President George Weah for what he did. But I think if President Weah had said to the police in Liberia, look, I want you to make sure that I stay in power, I can guarantee you they would have done it, right? I believe that he had said to the army, look, I won't leave. Let me stay, they would have done it as well. And that is the difference between the two countries right now. Ghana is on a better path in terms of the rule of law, in terms of security and stability, in terms of people who are willing to stand up for the truth. And as we can see from what's happening in our legislature, and just to say this quickly, the president is, Mr. Gay was making a point and it caught my head. This president is so, I want to use a word, but I got to be careful. Small can collaborate. The president is so inept, right? That's the word I will use. That he tried to steal the process by taking the speaker with him to the room, so that the deputy speaker can preside, so that he thinks that they will get a vote to get this guy. Oh, only to find out they didn't reach to 49. And it's like, why would you do? You think you're clever, but you're not that clever. And it is worrying for anyone, and that's why people go into Ghana instead of coming to Liberia, because there's peace and people are secure. I've got cousins from the States who bought homes in Ghana, right? So yeah, I don't know what else I can say.
Great. Mr. Nambe, you heard my own former in-law, Mr. Banks, when he was justice minister, some Korean came to Liberia and he took 500,000, they confiscated $500,000 from the Korean business people and the Mango Mingo. When the Supreme Court ruled that the people needed their money back, he told the courts that he spent that money to build Ellen Johnson Sirleaf fence, and those people never got their money. Same thing recently, Mr. Krumah, they say he did some kind of illegal drug bust. Somebody he had been looking at took $300,000 from the man, took two pickup trucks, took everything, only to find out when the man went to court that he didn't even report what he confiscated from the man's house. Where is the money? Where did he deposit the money? Nothing of that nature. And all this is contained in that investigation that Joseph Wagner has squashed. With all this, why should someone choose? In fact, Yeke Koluba said he now owns a home in Ghana where his entire family is. And most of the legislators now, they are not coming to the United States because of the possibility of a sanction. So Ghana now is the place of choice. Mr. Number, what is wrong with us?
No, I mean, I think you're in Dr. Booty. I honestly don't have anything else to add. I agree with everything you said. I think it's about comfort, you know. Ghana, you know, when you and I were growing up, Ghana was the pariah in the region. They were queuing for bread. You know that there were so many coups. The place was very unstable. But now, they figured it out, and I think Rollins came in, and then after that, they turned things around. I was in Ghana just like that. The booty, I was there, I think in December or so. I was in Lagos as well. You go in these countries and you go to Monrovia, then you really, it's like the difference between night and day. Ghana is really moving ahead. Ghana is almost like New York. You do almost everything you do in New York in Ghana. Your ATM card works in Ghana. You can get Uber in Ghana. You do anything you want to do in Ghana, just like you do here. And we can do that.
Airbnb out of that.
Yes. Yeah. My son just booked an Airbnb because we were going right from he was in Philadelphia. He booked it in Ghana. So all of these things are happening around us. And here we are, we're fighting over speaker. We have two speakers in Liberia. And this is nonsense. I'm really today, I'm not in a good mood at all because there's a whole lot of progress we will be making and we're getting bogged down in this nonsense. And we have this president who has proven, either unwilling or incapable, of doing anything about anything. All of these people are in the government and doing their own thing, and nobody is in charge. The president has been in charge for almost a year now. I don't see him doing anything but business as usual. It is very frustrating. My son is trying to do some little business in Ghana, even to get a bank account. You have to go and get a national ID card because there is a system. You have to go through the system. They've tried their best and they're making the place business friendly. They're making it comfortable for anybody to want to live in. Here in Liberia, even if you are Liberian, you take out citizenship in another country, you can't be, you lost your rights in Liberia. We're still fighting over dual citizenship. What about people who were not even born in Liberia? So we're way eons and years behind. And right now the whole West African region, they're moving ahead, and everybody will come and take our lunch and eat it because we're locked down in nonsense, stupidity. They're passing $880 million budget in less than 1 hour. You understand me? They're spending the agencies that are being appropriate, in the budget. Nobody, they didn't even call them in to question them. There's maybe $30 million in this budget here. How do you intend to spend this money? What is it money for? Nobody cares. Only because all of them want to go to Christmas break and their little eating is in the budget. Everybody is fighting. Bwaka is fighting to remove Kofa because Kofa said he was going to audit and streamline the budget process. They don't want that to happen, and so they have to remove Bwaka by all means. And what does Kun do? The budget is passed and the concurrent, everything is obtained in less than 1 hour. How are we going to make progress in this country? How?
Thank you.
It's very frustrating, but yeah, Ghana and all these countries, even Sierra Leone, the Gambia, all of these countries are moving ahead.
Great. Mr. Eastman, I got an email over the weekend. Uh, there's a retired educators group from Chicago, and the lead of that person is a friend of mine. He's at National Public Radio here in Florida, and he went with me to Liberia. They're going to invest, and I took him to Liberia to show him a couple of places on the beach, and he went, and later on went to Ghana. And he sent me this email a couple of months now. He says here, Mr. Gamer, thank you for the invite to Liberia. I enjoy my stay, but we have chosen to invest in the place called Fran in Ghana. Fran, I guess it's a new place there. So went to Liberia, went to Ghana, look at the environment, everything else. And we talk about a huge group. These are retirees that want to go to a place in Africa and make a living. They chose a place called Fran. I got to check that place out, why they chose it. But yes, they chose that Liberia was not their choice. So, Isma, do you think what we are talking about here, I think Mr. Kiatama posted something, that the image of Liberia is taking a beating. On every front paper, he named the BBC, Washington Post, New York Times, and other African countries. He said, this doesn't look good. This is a sympathizer of the Waka regime. He's always on spoon. He is saying this is bad. Mr. Eastman, why are we doing this to ourselves, and why should people come to Liberia?
It's not every Liberian that is detracting from our image. Yeah, there are some that are quite content with exploiting the situation, taking advantage of their fellow Liberian, breaking and or contravening the law, and as a result, the whole country suffers. It doesn't take many people to have a negative effect on the rest of the people. Just few bad doers, it can cause a very negative effect on other people. This is why countries that depend on tourism, like Kenya, like Jamaica, and all those guys crack down on people who exploit tourists, people who rob, because once that is happening, it doesn't have to happen 10 times, 20 times, just once, it sends a bad image. If Liberia is serious about cultivating an image of safety, once upon a time, Liberia was one of the most safest places in this world. Okay, very stable. Now, for us to reclaim that stability, that peace, that joy, we will have to clamp down hard on the people who are taking our name in the wrong direction. So it's not surprising that people want to go to Ghana. They see the stability there. People can know that when if they take their case to court, is it properly adjudicated? People are not taking bribes. You see, we have to start doing things properly if we're going to reclaim our proper place in the community of nations. And to think we can do it Kele way, as we say back home, or Babati way, it's not going to happen. We have to come to grips with enforcing the law, and making sure we provide a safe atmosphere for all. It's rarely every Liberian responsibility. And this thing that's going on with the house and the burning of the Capitol building, all this brouhaha, it doesn't look very well. It does not. And what is it for? Are they arguing for the benefit of Liberian people? That's the tragic part about this. Is this fight in the parliamentary, in the legislature, is it for Liberian people? or it's for selfish aims. That's the tragedy of this whole thing. So we all suffer because two people want power over the budget, because we know this is where this is going. They want power over the budget. It's all about money at the end of the day, not about Liberia. So until we become the people who we want to be, you know, yeah, it will continue. But we are that same peace loving people. But right now, the whims of the everyday whims of trying to get what you can no matter what is prevailing, and we have to bring it under control.
Great. Mr. Gay, you take us home on this one, so we'll go to the last piece here.
Hey, Jerry, you
Mr.
there?
Eastman talked about, and Mr. Sanwallo talked about people trying to badmouth the government. And that's fine. When few people do it, it's fine. But when you talking about the institutions, we are talking about institutions here. Your law enforcement, your police department doesn't work. The judiciary of all doesn't work. And to make matter worse, the particular the lawmakers themselves, they are buying homes. Our Liberian lawmakers, they are not building homes in Liberia, but they are going to Ghana. What does that say about us? And Mr. Waldo think it is us. It is not us. We talk about institution decay, decadence on the institutional level. Your lawyers, your judges, your presidents, your people, they are buying home in Ghana and leaving your country destitute, Mr. Gay.
You know, Mr. Gilman, when the whole country or half of the lawyers in Liberia.
Yeah, I need you to do something.
Okay, I'll be right there. When half of the I'll go in like 2 minutes. I think I gotta call my radio.
Sure.
They spent almost 2 weeks trying to debate a Latin term, ultra virus for almost 2 weeks. I mean, people who you would think will understand one phrase from a law book because of politics, nothing else. The fight on Capitol Hill is all about committee chairmanship and deputy chairmanship and committee membership. That's it. Nothing else. It's not about the Liberian people. It's about who is on this committee, who wants to be on this other committee, and who wants to chair this committee. That's all it's all about. Nothing else. This is the reason why they don't want to talk about the due process, because they know when the time for them to do due process, the majority black will lose some of its members to COFA. And according to that rule, once you bring out a resolution and you do not have the 49 member, that particular case can no longer be heard until the next electoral cycle, especially when it comes to removal of the speaker. And so they don't want to fall short in that regard. They don't want to take that risk. Otherwise, they refuse to even allow. Because COFA said, I will come to what you guys are. You don't have to come to me. I come to you. And you preside. And I recuse myself. They don't want to do it. So, Mr. Nangwe, I have to disagree with you here, because you're the same person talking about, this thing is political. Now you're talking about rule of law. Even the Geneva Convention of 1945 speaks about the rule of engagement as a nation goes to war. Military men can just kill anybody. That's why they have that's what they outline what is specified as war crimes. Not because there is a war so you can just go and massacre our people. In the ghetto, they have rules. They may not have it written down, but they have order. They have leadership. They let you have their own rules. They didn't say because of political theater. In that theater, there are rules and regulations. We are here today because a group of people chose not to respect the law. So I'll call you guys by the name.
Thank you.
Let me quickly come in because he
Mr.
called my
Mr.
name
Nangbe,
and he's leaving. So
Mr. Nangbe, he called your
yes,
name. 30
yes,
seconds before go to the last one. Yes.
yes. So let me make that real clear. I believe in the cause that Honorable Funati Kova is championing. I think he's on the right track. But I'm saying that case he is not going to win. His winning means reversing what is happening. He will not be able to do that. Now, I am saying he has won already by championing the rule of law. I am with him on that. But I'm also saying he needs to preserve his momentum so that he can fight another day. Right now, he's been diminished grossly. And I think it is damaging his brand. That's all I got to say. So
Great.
I wish Mr. Gay were here to hear me out.
Well, let's go to the last topic here. We'll start with Dr. Booty. Dr. Booty, one of the most famous saying in this going election was, no car will get stuck in the mud. In my first 100 days, and I mean it, today, yesterday, I don't know, Jimmy Eastman had that photo. The president flew to Foya on a private jet and had the audacity to address the crowd and says, I am telling you, I told you the roads will be pliable for everybody. And I mean it. Why the plea is sitting in the back? This man, Dr. Booty, what is going on? What do we make of this man? I mean, to blatantly lie, and then does he know that he's lying, or is it a psychosis or what?
Well, yeah, before I answer the question, I'm going to make two quick statements and then I'll just move on. I think first of all, Mr. Gay mentioned the fact about the 43. Like I said last week, they will not come to the thing because at the end of the day, they know they will lose. Right? The reason why they're doing it like this is because they can't get to 49. And to Mr. Nangbe's point, again, Mr. Kofa, the only time he had to resign was at the start, right? When he hadn't started doing the right thing. When these guys said, "Look, we want you," he just sort of said, "Okay, I'll leave it." Once he decided to fight the good fight, he has to stay in. Yes, they might tie him and throw him away, but at least we will say, "Look, he fought the fight." Now, in terms of the president, right? I know Mr. Wallow has posted some comments, and it's clear where his loyalties lie. And obviously people are allowed to defend their people. If you're a member or supporter of the Unity Party government, you would defend them. But this government is failing badly, right? They're failing so badly. This government is failing at absolutely everything that it tries to do. That I haven't seen much of what I was praising them the other day about a solar panel, and then last week I think somebody said, "My brother, I think I sold cost 20 million." And they said that 19 million. I said, "You're sorry. Let me move my offering now one there because let me hear what praising me." There is nothing. We've seen the roads, Mr. Gaiman. We've seen the roads. You've been to Liberia, I've been to Liberia. We've seen people send us images of the roads are deplorable. Everywhere they roads and I just spent 22 million putting. I don't know what in the put on the 22 million worth for what in the put on the road. The roads are worse than they were. Right? You cannot spend any one of us here, even you, Mr. Gimme, even though you got your own company, but if you went and spend 5 million or 1 million or your company money fixing something and work, your employees then say, "I'll call you say, our boss man, why are you spending kind of money to fix it here and if you're not working?" You can't spend $22 million of our money and the roads are so bad that you gotta fly, right? So I honestly look. I said it last week. I've said it before. These people realize that the Liberian people are stupid. They realize that the Liberian people are weak. They realize that the Liberian people don't have the spine, so they will keep taking them for a ride. Thank God, some of all wins like your Mr. Gamer that got investment there. We'll hold on to our own investment because at least I'm a tax money they wasting. Like your own tax money because at the end of the day, These guys are taking the Liberian people for a ride, and they just see the Liberian people as idiots. And they will keep doing it until some group or someone can stand up and say no. And that's why some of us are supporting the actions of Fonati Kofa, not the Kofa himself, but the action. Because at the end of the day, people need to stand up and say, look, no, this is not right. Right? You can't spend all that money, then you can drive on the road, but you're expecting us to. So ordinary market people are driving from Lofa County on that road. But the president, who said that the road will be fixed in 100, they can't drive on the road. What does that tell you? Because he knows the road is not good. But a good for the Liberian people, a good for the business people, a good for the farmers, right? A good for students who are traveling back home to see their families, taking 2-3 days on the road when he can just boom, fly for 30 minutes. He in Lofa, he go sit down and do what he need to do and come back. The Liberian people need to stand up for themselves. And if they don't, this government will keep taking, and not just this government, successive governments after this will take them for a ride because they say, oh, the Liberian people, and what they'll do, they can just talk plenty. And I didn't say we can just talk plenty. So that they be talking. That their country money they're wasting.
Mr. Eastman, can you please put up? I just put that stuff in our chat room. Can you please look for it? From Abdullah Kiatama. Let me go to Victor now. Victor.
Yeah.
The president flew to Lofa.
Right.
And I don't know whether he looks at the optics about flying. Last week he flew a nice private jet to Ghana to the ECOWAS meeting, and then right after that he flew another one. Abuja, yeah, excuse me. He flew another one to Foya of all places.
So let me say this, and I agree with Dr. Budi. The president promised to do the roads. If he is taking the chopper from Mario to Vonjaman because the road is bad, then that is a problem. But as the president of the Republic of Liberia, he is an increased security risk. I say this: Joseph Biden rode a train from Delaware.
I don't like to interrupt you, but I would. They may just spend 1 million on armor car. So how you be in risk when you just spend 1 million to buy bulletproof jeeps? Right? So what's the risk?
Okay. So you think because you tell let me tell my own.
Sorry for interrupting, but I just have to point.
That's okay. I'm just as angry as you are. And like I said earlier, if he's flying because the road is bad, that is a problem. But again, he is not the president of Liberia. Yeah, he traveled on that road up to last year. He traveled on that road all the time. But now he is the president of the Republic of Liberia. There's a certain amount of security risk associated with that. I was making the analogy of Joseph Biden. Biden, he rode a train from Delaware to DC every day, but now he rides either Marine One or Air Force One. So there is a certain amount of security associated with the presidency. If Joseph Boakai is flying the chopper because of that risk, I can understand that. But I think what is concerning to all of us is the amount of travels. I understand the significance of this particular trip from Monrovia to Vanjama. I think it's called a peace summit or whatever it is. I think they're commemorating the 60th anniversary of, the founding of Bong, I think Grangide, Lofa, and some other county, 4 counties. I get that. But what is the significance of a trip like that when there's no opposition member present? What is the peace? Who is he making peace with? Because you make peace with your opposition, to bring peace. So again, it's if he's flying, like I said, because the road is bad, I think that is wrong. If he flew to make peace, then it's wasted money as well, because who is he making peace with? But if he flew to go and make jolly, that is a problem. But I think as a president, there's a certain amount of risk, and therefore I think the president deserves some courtesies. And I think the chopper is one of those courtesies that I think he deserves as president. He's 80 years old as well. So we gotta also protect. We gotta protect the presidency.
Jimmy Eastman. A few months ago, Joseph Boakai was telling the world, George said Liberians are dying from hunger, from curable diseases, while the president is flying a helicopter to the southeast. why the president, he's a playboy, and then he used the word, you don't take man's job and give it to a boy. That's what they do. Now they have taken the job and given it to a real man, and the real man is doing worse than the boy. He is flying, going to his hometown for yeah, and he flying a jet. And my brother here wants to believe that even though he accused the former president and he said, well, unnecessary, people are still dying from curable diseases the road are not fixed. He said he was not going to do it. This is the hypocrisy. Does he really know what he's doing? Or at certain age, we just forget stuff? Mr. Eastman.
You know, I believe, honestly believe that the chief executive knows what he's doing. The problem on hand is far more complicated and complex than he might have imagined. It's easy to criticize, like all of us, we get on our pedestals and start, pontificating what should be and what should not be. But when you're wearing the shoe and you're faced with numerous challenges, it's very difficult to make decisions, you know? And now it's his turn. He has a difficult decision. He's got people in the government telling him, bringing him and deals like the 285 pieces of yellow machines, but do not follow the due process. He wasn't expecting that. The people coming to him said they got another deal with offer $25 million of scholarship. And then they find out he's not. So there is so many facets of governance that he's just beginning to realize. So for him, the faster he starts appointing very, very competent people to make decisions that not all the time he has to make, it will behoove him. But then he has to remove himself from any bias, conscious and unconscious, because we know people are unconsciously biased toward certain friends, toward what they're familiar with, their tribe, their place. He has to remove himself from those biases and put confidence in people who can do the job. That requires an even-headedness that will exemplify leadership. But if he's going to stay with cronies, I think as Dr. Booty was saying, he sees so much failure. Yeah, because if they're not able to toe their line, if they can't toe the line, all this goes back to the chief executive. And but to his credit, I hear there are going to be some major shakeups. I hear there are going to be some major changes in the administration. And let's see where it goes. We'll allow you to the first year, that your rookie year, you know nothing about presidency. Nobody, there's no training, there's no school for presidency. So you've tried it. Now you know how it is. You now stomp your foot a couple of times. Let's see how you will regroup.
Mr. Eastman,
let me come here, Mr. Game. I beg you.
Push back.
Because Mr. Eastman, again, our diplomat, I don't want to be disagreeing with you.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
No, let me just say something. Of all Liberia's presidents, right? Of all, I think only Talbot comes close to Joseph Boakai in terms of prior preparation. This man has been in government for 40-something years. No Liberian president has been in government that long before coming to the presidency. No Liberian president has had that long of government training before coming to the office of president than Joseph Boakai. Of all of them, he should be the most prepared, right? So that argument that, being president different, this man sat next to President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf for 12 years, learning the ropes. And someone posted the other day, I can't remember who it was, said, look, Now it makes sense. When Ellie told her, let the papa go sit down with her in 2017, we listen to her. Now I see what the Ellie saw. That she said the papa must need a team. We were saying, oh no. Because I want that in 2017, I wanted Boyka to win. I wasn't supporting George, I was behind Boyka. Right? And now I say, hey, because when Ellie, I wrote two opinion pieces in that 2017 and 2018, criticizing Ellen Johnson. One of them I even say, oh, that Ellen Johnson gave us job we are. But now I see what she was thinking. I can see Ellie, sorry. Let me apologize to Ellie, but I'm sorry. Oh, all the hour put your own ball on you. Sorry. Because at the
drop
end
in
of the
the chat
day,
room. He dropped in the chat room. So
Dr.
at the
Booty.
end of the day, let me say quickly, at the end of the day, this man has look, he can change all he wants to, and that 1 year thing that Mr. Eastman know. This is our country don't have 1 year to waste. We need someone to come in from day one and deliver. We ain't got 1 year to be wasting. Oh, yeah, when you come, we'll get you the prayer. Yeah, no.
Listen, Talbot served in the lower house for about 6 years and 19 years as vice president. That's what? That was 25 years.
Yeah.
Boykai spent about 50 years, and 42 of those years he said they were managerial. That means he was vice president, management, all the other areas and all of that. So when you are 80 and 50 of those years were spent in managerial positions, and you asserted, you assured the Liberian people that this job is not job for inexperienced people. I'm going to do this job. I've been there. I know how it is done. And I raised the question the other day. If you work for an employer and you're getting another job and you ask for a letter of recommendation and your boss tells you, no, I'm not going to give you a letter. I'm not going to give you a letter of recommendation. It says a whole lot about you. When Ellen said, I will not support this man, I will not recommend this man to Liberia, I personally said it myself. Hey man, even though I support George Weah, but that's cruel. And the man who sat to you for 12 years, you couldn't recommend. But this woman knew something better. Mr. Eastman, do you have that little thing, that blur from Kiatama that I wanted to put up?
It wouldn't play for some reason.
It's not a play. It's just a photo. It's just a photograph.
The photo doesn't come up. I will try one more time. The photo itself doesn't come up.
Okay, guys, we got 6 minutes here. Honorable Namwe, your closing, sir.
Well, thank you very much. Great show. I know my Eagles will bounce back next week, so I'm not worried.
Definitely.
The rest of our schedule, I think, in our division is is doable. But listen, quickly on the issues we discussed today. I think we started with what's happening at the Capitol building. What is happening is unfortunate. This is a country that is down at every level, and yet we continue to bring it down. All of the fighting at the Capitol building is all about money. Bunch of poor, greedy people are at the Capitol building, and they're trying to use every means to enrich themselves. This is what this is about. And unfortunately, the presidency is enabling this foolishness. Waka, just like that, Obudi and all of you are saying, he's been in government for a very long time. He knows what works and what doesn't work. He should have come to the presidency, to the government with solutions in hand. But it's taking him over a year, and even then, he hasn't figured it out. I am this close to giving up on him. I don't think he's able to do it. Apparently, I don't think he can do this job. I've heard this whole thing about he's about to do reshuffle and all of that. It's nonsense. It was when he came from the UN or wherever he was. He would do a reshuffle and all of that. No, he's not gonna do it. So it is just unfortunate. It is frustrating. We talked about other countries in the region. They're raising a head, and we're there twiddling our fingers. Everybody wants to eat from the government. Nobody is willing to do anything on their own to make money. Everybody wants to go in government. They're passing a budget, almost $1 billion, in spending, and they're passing in a matter of hours. Who does that? But this is why they've been fighting the whole speaker battle the whole time. from the executive to the judiciary to the legislature. It's a clique. They are all clicking. Where are the senators who said they did not agree with Yombly Kanga's decision for the Senate to work with the House? Where are they? Did they stand up to the budget? No. They all signed on because they all got to get their little chopping for the Christmas break. So it is a very unfortunate situation, but this is what we have. We have to figure out a way to make this work. Right now, what we have is not working. Very unfortunately, it is not. So I'm closing, and I'm grateful for the opportunity. Every time we come here, I myself I learn from you guys. I even learn from our audience. So I appreciate being here. But right now, I'm feeling bad for Liberia. I think we're in a very terrible place, a very dark place.
Thank you. Dr. Booty.
Yeah, I think as Mr. Nangui echoed, it's always a great show. I think it's a shame to see what happened at the Capitol building. It is a symbol of Liberia and Liberian politics and government, and to see it burning as it was heartbreaking. We hope that people wouldn't use it as a way to steal money from the Liberian government, but that they will restore it to its former glory, or at least make it something modern that we can be proud of. I think the issue that we have with what is happening with Ghana, looking at hundreds of people from the United States, and that's just what's been reported. Because I know a lot of Black Americans who have moved to Ghana, bought houses there, and looking to retire there. I think Liberians should see that and get motivated to do something to change the trajectory that we're on. I think our leaders, unfortunately, are a bunch of selfish individuals. I think we have to find a way. Some of us don't know how yet, and we need to really sit down and think. I think maybe one of the things that On Point can try and do 2025 is put together a think tank of Liberians in the diaspora and back in Liberia to find solutions to how we can get better governance. How can we get people elected into office that mean well for the country, that will come in and do the right thing, will come in and slash salaries of legislators, come in and bring down government spending, and start to invest more money into agriculture and education and healthcare, in developmental projects. How we do that, it would take a lot of conversation, but I think as a group, we need to start putting out there something significant that can influence policies in Liberia to really take us out of the mess that we're in. Because if we leave it to these idiots, I can guarantee you we'll be here saying these things over and over until we get gray. I can see Mr. Nangui gray hair little coming here there, and nothing significant would have been done. So maybe, that's my call to action for 2025. Let's put a think tank together of well-meaning Liberians to find a way to, even if it means we will support certain people in Liberia that are running for office, irrespective of the parties that they're in, because we know that this lady or this guy will go into that house and do better. And as long as we can get them in incrementally, I'm sure we can see some change in our country, because we need change of leaders. I don't think the system is the problem. I think the individuals running the system are the issues that we have. But great show. Looking forward to next Sunday already. And I'm just going to say Happy Christmas to everyone, because I'm not going to see you until
Same to you as
after
well.
Christmas.
Same to
And
you.
yeah, we'll see you next Sunday as well.
And just so
Thank
you know, Dr. Booty, my beard is natural, my gray. Jimmy's is artificial. Mine is natural.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let me read this real quick, then I go to Jimmy to take us home. And this is from Adula Kiatamba, the president's sympathizer and a very smart guy. He said the capital fire. Liberia is now emblazoned in global headlines and syndicated across the world for the wrong reasons. The Washington Post, the ABC News, LA Times, Al Jazeera, BBC, and all others are essentially telling potential investors that if you put your copper in Liberia, you're going to be investing in chaos, an unstable environment, and a raging fire managed by unserious leaders. Those are billions of dollar losses in real critical investment that was supposed to come to Liberia. So he is advising the president, investigate first, act on the results and rebrand the image of the country. That is this is a think tanker who is giving an advice. But the downside to this advice is he begins with investigate first. The president have done it the other way. He has concluded, then put forth an investigation to find evidence to support the conclusion. Mr. Eastman, take us out in your closing. Then we
Yeah, I'd like to speak directly to those who are in charge. Listen, doing ad hoc projects, for instance, like taking $22 million and spending it on roads, it's not the way you go about improving things. I can tell you from engineering, that 22,000, if you don't spend it the right way, it would do nothing. Because if you put so halfway done roads, you take 1 or 2 million, you put it on this road, so dirt. You took 1 or 2 million, put it on this other road. When the rain comes, it will turn it into the same way it was before. So you actually have done nothing. What you have to do is do a thorough job on a road, and that will be permanent. After saying that, we've said it on this program before. Salif is always big on this. We have to restore our institutions first. And once we restore the institutions, they will do what they have to do. Okay? The legal institution. Okay? If we restore the courts and the legal system the way it should be, it will fix things by itself. Instead of trying to fix things directly with these band-aid packages, we should concentrate on setting up a mechanism that will perpetually fix these things. But the message is not going through. It can be done, but we got to approach it in the right way. And I think I understand why everybody thought that Joseph Boecker would have been a good president, because they figured he came with the experience, the institutionalized experience that he should have garnered from past administrations. But when you go about it trying to avoid building those institutions back up, it's going to lead to failure. We can do this, and it's not beyond us, but we have to approach it the right way. And the only way to fix a country like ours is to rebuild the institutions that will carry out the mission, that will get everybody back on track to where they're supposed to be going. But we can't do it in an ad hoc, individual manner. It's never going to work. So that's all I admonish. Gentlemen, it's been great. This year has been great. I wish all of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
Great.
Thank you, Jerome.
Mr. Eastman, take us out.
Okay, and as we always say, which will never change, one thing we can be assured of is that we are all Liberians. And so we'll play the song once more.
We are Liberians. Liberia is our home. Liberian people. Liberia.